give you a golden nugget that I have for that?
Yeah, let's go.
So the past, this is, again, my framing and verbiage. The past is nothing more than data, okay? All you can do is draw upon it for reference. But the second something is over, you have to cut the emotional ties. You're here and now. Your emotions and everything need to be present here. The past is nothing more than data. We can just look at it, use it for reference,
not make that same mistake again.
Not make that same mistake again. But that's all it is. And if you frame it as such, it makes it really easy to cut the emotional ties, because that's the big draw. Like, that pit that comes in your stomach, I should have said this, I should have done this, or whatever like
We're
that.
the only species that ruminates.
Right.
That goes back and
you
know what, I should have said. Gosh, I should have told her. I should have said. I should have done.
Or I shouldn't have said.
Or I shouldn't have said. Yeah.
But anytime I have those thoughts, it's like, it's just data.
Yeah.
It's just data. Like, it's just information that happened that we can draw upon. That's it.
Yeah.
Which brings me to my next nugget.
Okay.
That's powerful. That was a great segue.
I'm excited for this nugget.
Really?
Yeah.
Good. You and I have talked quite a bit in detail. You and I personally have talked a lot about thought filters, and you have a thought filter, kind of a on-off switch. Now what? On-off. Now what? It's a simple decision. I learned this thought filter back when I first got into real estate, and it is something that has really eliminated a ton of stress in my life. And so I just want to share this thought filter with you guys, because it's wildly powerful if you can continually be running this idea through your head. It's almost like it's a filter. So the first question that you have to ask yourself when you're ruminating or you're thinking about it is this true? A lot of the things that we think about are completely fabricated. We're like making it up. When this happens, then, if the inspection comes in and I've said this, and if she says that, then I'm going to say that. Like, we make up a lot of drama. And so it's important that we stay in is this true? Is this really true that this is happening? The second question that you need to ask yourself is, can I do anything about it? A lot of the things in the world you cannot do something about. I cannot do anything about what's happening in Washington, D.C. right now. Mm-hmm. There's nothing. It's outside my scope of power. But I can do something about people who are struggling with hunger right now. I can, and so I'm going to do something about it. And so if I can, then I do something about it. If I can't, you make that decision. The third step in that process is, if you can, it's massive action. If I can do something about it, I'm going to do something about it. And if I can't do something about it, I'm going to give it away. I'm done with that. You take these 3 steps, and it solves the problems quickly. Is it true? Can I do anything about it? And then if you can, take massive action. Take care of it. Don't ruminate on it. Don't continually think about it. If I've offended you, Jared, and I realize that it's true, I've actually said something that was harmful, and I come to that, and can I do something about it? I absolutely can. I'm going to call you, and I'm going to plainly apologize for my behavior. Your decision on how you react is your decision.
Right.
And I can't do anything about that, but then I'm going to leave that behind. As I'm running through these ideas, I've really come to the belief that most of the problems that we're ruminating on are fabricated problems. We're making them up. We're driving around, creating drama. I can't believe she said that, and if I get back, I'm going to do this, and then I shouldn't have said that, and then we go back and forth and go back and forth. But the fact of the matter, this conversation never happened. I've never had that conversation with my wife. I never had that conversation with that person down at the customer service desk. You know what I mean? I'm totally making it up. And then can I do anything about it? There's a lot of things that I worry about that I can do nothing about. I can do nothing about my daughter's inability to drive safely. 2 of them have cars. Be warned. I can worry about that a lot, and I've worried about it quite a bit. But there's nothing I can do about it, and so I'm going to surrender that. I'm going to give that to the universe. Dear God, please watch over those lunatics. I need your help.
Yes.
But then if I could, I would take massive action in it. And there's no hesitation in that. If you've been around me for longer than 5 minutes, you know that I am a man of action. If there's something that I can do, I'm doing it. And I'm going to do it right now. I'm not going to do it later. If there's a phone call that needs to be made, I make it right now. I want to get it taken care of, because if I don't, it won't happen.
Yeah.
I think to your point, there's always this internal monologue going on, and it again, back to the book that I'm listening to right now, the author is talking about how there's always this darkness inside of you. There's always this fear, and if you give it space, it will grow and it'll grow. And fear, I think, it often informs a lack of action. And so if you're always trying to evaluate, do I have control over this? Is this in my sphere of influence? And then if it is in your sphere of influence, taking action, that
Immediate, massive.
that doesn't give that fear any room to grow.
That's right.
You're pushing it away because you're kind of your belief in the fact that you are being guided, and as long as you just keep taking action, then that fear lessens, I think.
Right. And we can become paralyzed by that fear.
Oh, absolutely.
We can become inactive. Then we're choosing a hard.
Right.
I'm not going to make that phone call. And next thing, I'm not going to get the deal because I didn't make the phone call.
Right.
And I could have just made the call. I could have just taken the action.
It's the same exact thing that you were talking about of your physical body. The minute you sit down, your momentum shifts that direction. It's internal too. There's that internal momentum. If you always your momentum's going towards positive and action, the momentum stays going that direction. The fear takes a back seat.
Very good.
I love that.
Where I think fear comes from a lot is and this is one of the things I really learned in baseball is like how do you think? How do you process information? Okay, most people. They process first and foremost with their emotions, and that's where I believe fear comes in, okay, is because your emotions lie to you all the time. And I think the really cool part about this is God literally built you in a way to do this. It's in order. So your eyes are the first thing, your senses, right? That's input of information. And if you can be objective at that step, okay, and with all the information coming in and then know where to order it, most people will see something, they get an input, and it immediately goes to their heart. Meaning emotions, right? And if you put this step in between where you take the input of information, then it goes to your brain, think about it first because your brain has control over your emotions if you let it. Okay, so if your information comes in, goes to your brain, you get to choose what emotion. So is it fear? Is it not? Fear is one of those that if you just let your emotions go, fear is going to set in because your body is in your biological programming. Fear is a defense mechanism. Fear is what keeps you awake. It had a purpose, right? But you have control over it.
Yeah.
So input in first, think about it, tell your heart what emotions that you want to feel about said subject, and then it comes out to your hands and you take action.
I like that.
Okay, then that's like, I had to use that with baseball. You have to just watch what's going on. If I lead with my heart of what's going in first, I'm going to be scared shitless because that guy's throwing 95 miles an hour with an 87 mile an hour slider. There is no reason to go up there. You know what I'm saying?
I also think fear is oftentimes a result of being scared of an outcome, right? Or being concerned that you don't have control over a certain not making a decision or not taking action. It's kind of a negative feedback loop in a way where it leads to fear, but then the fear informs the concern about the outcome. And so then you're just kind of bouncing back and forth, and that's how you get paralyzed, like you were describing.
But that's an imaginary loop,
and
right?
you're just bouncing back and forth between reality, emotion.
You're using little blips of information to send to your heart, and your heart then takes it, and then that's where we get the whole, like you're saying, the spiral of what if I should have this and these conversations, and then you end up with this 45-minute conversation that didn't actually happen with anybody, right? Before you actually sit back and think. And most people that I found, in the time frames of practicing this, right? They'll see something, goes immediately to their emotions. Then we get that 45-minute conversation. Then we're going to ruminate on that for the next 3 days before we actually calm down enough to let your brain think about what actually happened.
So that's the is it true question.
Is it true? Right.
Is this really happen?
Is this really
happen?
Right.
Yeah.
Which means let your brain process that information first.
Yeah.
Okay, is this true? Is this something, do I have any control over this?
Yeah.
That's all those steps, but it's got to go to your brain first.
Can I do anything about this?
Right.
Yeah. Yep. The reason that I like this type of thinking is because it's warrior type thinking. As I've grown older, since I hit about my mid-30s, I've shifted to a warrior type thinking. I'm less victim and more warrior in my mindset because it's come to me that no one cares if it's not fair. Mm-hmm. No one.
It's not fair for anyone.
It's not fair for
anyone.
anyone.
Why would I care if it's unfair for you when it's unfair for me?
It's just not fair. No one cares.
No one gives a shit.
And so if I can think more like a warrior, how can I get my mind into the right way of digesting this and reacting in a way that's effective more quickly then I am a more effective warrior. I'm out hunting and doing the job that I need to do in order to win more often, because I'm allowed to fail, and I'm going to fail often, and I'm going to fail fast. But my job is to get through those fails, process it properly, and then it's just data.
Right.
And I'm moving forward.
Right.
And I think there's a lot of power in that.